Welcome to Leader Next Door, where we spotlight, of course, remarkable student leaders who are tremendously avid in their studies or their community and civic opportunities and duties, and also academically here with their university and their organizations. Tonight, we definitely want to really spotlight being well-rounded and who else to contribute to this amazing conversation and featuring our very own student leader here in the Career Resource Center, Athena. We are so excited to have you just launch with us this first episode. And Athena is a honor prized student, excelling in academics as well as leadership. She's an ambassador with the Center for Entrepreneurship. She's a marketing assistant here with us at the Career Resource Center, a teacher's assistant for CP3, which is a course here on campus, the founder of Well Rounded, which we'll dive into a little later, and a student leader in Ignite core curriculum. I'm sure I could go on and on to all the amazing things that you assist us with and just jump right in on campus. So we're definitely excited to have her here with us today. And so just to kind of dive right in, our focus, of course, is on leaders. So how has leading well-rounded really been essential to your growth? And please, share a little bit about well-rounded with us.
Right. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to be a part of this opportunity. I'm even more excited to talk about Well-Rounded too. But Well-Rounded is basically an organization, an initiative where we want to create a resource hub and a connection hub where people can refer back to whenever they're developing themselves and kind of growing and figuring out how they want to better prepare themselves for entering their adult life. So even during their college time and post-graduation time and figuring out how to grow in those areas. For me, I've learned a lot about leadership through this position, not only from just kind of, managing a group, but I've learned where I need to improve in areas like delegating or how to put together certain events or how to create schedules that people can follow and kind of support their growth as they're, developing themselves while supporting an initiative where other people can develop themselves. So it's all kind of creating a team that supports a community and figuring that out. So it's been exciting. I love every part of it, but
I can only imagine. I love that you mentioned just that portion of developing yourself because,
yeah,
of course, SLU is a huge supporter and just really encouraging students to be mindful of the whole person. What would you say has been your message, especially on a lot of the panels that you've been able to contribute to? What has been your message to the student body as a whole person when it comes to just how they can themselves be mindful of that as a student?
Yeah. So I think Well-Rounded is really interesting in the way that it kind of reflects my values of making sure that you're creating impact as you go. So for that first panel, it was regarding one of the Ignite seminar, like one of the core classes, and I got to explain how important it was to be present when you're in that class, because when you're present and you're engaging, especially with a professor like Rob, who's just exceptional, you get to really get a lot of out of the experience. And so that was an important takeaway for that first panel. For the second one, I really got to go into how to present yourself in a way that's interesting for employers, but how do you remain genuine during that, and how do you put your all into something like a resume and a cover letter. And then for this club, I mean, we're going over the core values in the CP3 class, and they ask you to find ways to be reflective and to incorporate your perspective and your experiences in your classes. with well-rounded, I mean, the whole thing is that by the time that you're done with at least a year or the 4 years, you will feel like someone who understands different competencies that you will be like that are required of you, that are so important that you know. So yeah, it's really cool.
No, I definitely love that. Just
Yeah,
giving the students that opportunity, first of all, to hear it from a student's perspective,
right.
and for you to be able to impact your peers and have that peer-to-peer enrichment, I think is definitely more of a positive spin as opposed to always coming from staff or faculty. Another big proponent of the campus is definitely career readiness and really encouraging the students to have a sense of urgency when it comes to grabbing those internships. Share just a little bit of your experience with your internship, just a little bit of kind of the process of it. A lot of students are timid around the part of applying and maybe not hearing back or not knowing if they're going to be interested in that particular area. So, what are some just few tips that you could share with students with that process?
So I think that it was really interesting how you highlighted the kind of fear regarding internships and applications, but I also see it in terms of networking. I think the biggest takeaway for something when you're going into that process is making sure that you feel open to the possibilities that are available to you. That is such an important part of it because you are going to face some applications that you either don't hear back from or they send you a really, general rejection where it's like, thanks for applying. And then that's it. I think being open-minded and realizing that you're the main driver for your success is so important because you can apply on LinkedIn, you can look on Glassdoor, you can look at Monster, you can talk to your boss and see who they know, you can talk to your friend and see who they know, you can go on LinkedIn and spiral down into the rabbit hole that is all of the third connections. And we talk about it in class too. It's just dedicating the time. I think that there's a lot of pressure on juniors and seniors to have it all figured out and set, and it just will not always work out that way. There are some freshmen who get in with the Boeing flight program that I was fortunate enough to do last summer. I didn't have an internship, I just worked, and I worked at setting up informational meetings and Zoom calls and coffee dates, and it's all about kind of putting yourself out there, even if you're more reserved when it comes to meeting people. It's so important to say, like, I'm at least gonna go say hi, or I'm at least gonna give them my resume and make face. I mean, challenge yourself and see what you're capable of doing. The only limitation is, the one that you put there for yourself, and that sounds so cheesy, but I'm sure that you see it too when you talk to different kids about their resumes and interview prep. You just want them to be able to say what they're good at and express themselves and feel confident in the abilities that they bring. So I don't know. I think that one of the bigger aspects to look forward to when you're applying is seeing what's out there and seeing how you can align or find new interests that may correspond better with a different job title than the one that you were looking for initially. So
Yeah.
yes.
Well, thank you for that. I definitely think that students can benefit from just seeing it from a different light and taking off some of that pressure when it comes to that entire journey and just learning how to properly navigate it. I'm glad that you brought up even that relationship building component, which I think is huge. Share with us a little bit of how you have managed to build this amazing connection with the beautiful ladies of Amarin Cafe.
Oh yes, I love my ladies at Amarin Cafe. I gave them a special highlight in that response because I don't think that it's as valuable to just focus on creating connections with people who have huge job titles when there are important people that you see in your day to day. Like it could be the faculty and staff that are preparing your lectures or cleaning up after you, because we all seem to be a mess. It's everyone involved. And this goes back to, the way I was raised and the way that I view my relationships with people. But I think that everyone has something of value to bring to the table, and everyone has a story and perspective. And I was telling my dad that a really big skill that I got from, seeing my parents over the years is that they have shown me that you can say hi to just about everyone. And I mean, if you seem to dedicate your time to them, you get something out of that conversation because you get to hear from them, but also they will probably find ways to learn about you or benefit in some way. And that's really cool. He was expressing to me that he's used this skill at work, so he's learning from me. And he was saying that whenever he goes to the office, because he works hybrid, whenever he goes to the office, he dedicates some time to checking in on friends or this, that, or the other, and kind of putting in their minds the image of the person that he wants to be. So he goes, hey guys, like, I love helping. Let me know if I can, be a part of your group or support you on something. And then whenever you talk about yourself in that way, and not hype yourself up, but I mean, present what type of person you would like to be in a group. So you'd like to help or support or do data or do art or do X amount of things. You're reminding people that you're capable of something, especially in that sort of topic. So he goes, hey guys, I really want to help. Every time they have somewhere that they need help on, my dad can hop in and say, oh, like, I know coding, I can help you with that. Or, hey, like, I don't really know much about this. If you train me though, I can help you. And then you force yourself to learn new skills through joining different groups. So I may have strayed a bit from the question, but I mean, that's another way to help network building, because as soon as you keep reminding people of what you're capable of and what competencies you have, what skills you have, they'll remember you for future reference. And so they'll keep connecting you to more people who are like you.
Absolutely. No, I could not agree more. Just being able to have those connections, building those relationships, and not just with those, like you said, who may be on the academia
Yeah,
side, but just those that you have to experience regularly and on a daily basis in your very environment,
right.
because you just never know how that conversation or word of encouragement or even just acknowledgement can go so far when you are building those relationships and networks and communities, which is a huge part of your matriculation as student leaders. I definitely think that having a broad perspective of life and culture within your academics is huge.
Mhm.
Share with us a little bit about even your study abroad experience and just some challenges as well as rewards that you felt like you received from having such a broad perspective, really enriching your time to study abroad.
So my study abroad experience was very refreshing for me. I got to obviously, like, immerse myself in Spain and all that it had to offer. It was a very clean city, very safe. I got to see how accessible travel was, and I got to see kind of like the dynamic of how people communicate and interact. I really enjoyed it because people seem to mind their business a little bit more. And it was just so focused on kind of going to where you needed to be and enjoying things as you went along. You take your breaks on the metro, and that was a shift, but I really liked it. I think that regarding the classes, of course, since you're in a new culture and a new environment, you get to meet more people with different perspectives. I think it was really interesting, especially my conversations with students in the business school over there, how there's a difference between opportunities, and so it was really interesting to see how they didn't have as many because of the language barrier. That was really fascinating to me. For example, on campus, we have so many opportunities to meet with employers and get feedback on resumes and cover letters and things like that. So seeing how they didn't have that as
Mhm.
available to them over there made me appreciate it even more when I got back. Um, yeah, I mean, what else did you want to know regarding that?
Just if there were any challenges that you experienced, or just even just some type of growth experience that you
Mhm.
were able to really take away from that time.
So, I mean, I had my own apartment and it was wonderful. I had worked the entire summer before I saved up for it and I got my little apartment. And in that, solitude and peace and quiet was actually when I came up with well-rounded. So I would say my growth moment was seeing how I didn't know a lot about the things that are so important for my time after graduation. I didn't know anything about how to manage taxes, or if I had to buy that apartment myself, I wouldn't have known how to do it. I don't know how to buy a car. I don't know, some basic things about cleaning that I'm sure other people do, but I don't. Like, there are just so many areas of improvement that I realized I still needed to dedicate time to. And so
Mhm.
that time over there was more so my reflection space, and that's when I came up with this, because I figured if I can connect with people and find, people even in those higher positions that are more qualified and educated and bring them together, then I can share all that knowledge with other people. So that's where that came from.
No, that's amazing, especially that you can look back and reflect on that moment
Yeah.
and be able to pinpoint where the inspiration
Yeah.
of just this entire movement and idea really sparked from. That's always a great moment to commemorate and just have as a reflective point, especially when you do get so many opportunities to share with student body. That's always great to have and be able to contribute to a student's aspirations to maybe one day follow in your footsteps, or even to have the bravery and the courage to pioneer any idea. So kudos to you. When you think of all of these opportunities that you've had, all of these leadership experiences that you've had since your just matriculation through SLU, what would you say has been the core of your leadership abilities?
So we've touched on it, but it's really the people aspect, because for me, I feel like I learn the most from the people around me, and I've I can push myself to be better because I know that there are people watching me and kind of looking forward to what I can do next. So that gives me enough motivation. But being able to have met so many kind people who have referred me to, different opportunities, that's where they all came from. I mean, we'll start at the beginning. So that core class led me to be at the panel the next year, the exact next fall. The Boeing internship came from my connection to our old career resources guide, or our administrator. And then what's the next one? My Unilever internship, it came from me connecting with someone on LinkedIn. My delicious breakfast sandwich that I have every day comes from those Amarin ladies. And it just all keeps circling back. Abby, who I have in charge of the Eli part of Well Rounded, I met him because I started having tea with him 2 semesters ago. Like, it's really just talking to people and seeing, what they're made of, what they're interested in, and then finding ways to connect with them. I've had the opportunities and they've been awesome, but that's my biggest takeaway every single time.
I
Yeah.
love it. And even just piggybacking off of people being the
Hmm.
core, what would you share with our future students of SLU? What's something that you feel like they could really take away from you?
I think being present and grateful is like the biggest thing that you can be. My dad talks about showing integrity. I see organization from my mom. I mean, I see kindness and patience from you. And it's just like everyone has something to contribute. So learn from people be open-minded, especially practicing gratitude. Even the hard days are learning lessons. Like everything is an opportunity to learn from. So that's my biggest takeaway.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Athena, for being the first student leader that can contribute so massively to this project to really share our leadership voices here on campus and how you truly do make a huge impact, not only within our student lives, but of course, even our faculty and staff that have the awesome experience to work with you. For those who are watching and following us, please continue to follow us even through our YouTube or social media. We invite you to subscribe as well as leave reviews. Let us know how this episode truly has impacted you. Even our conversation with Athena, the takeaways that you have really received from this amazing conversation. We hope you have enjoyed today's conversation and episode, and we look forward to definitely sharing with you even more. Until next time, continue to be the leader next door.